And from that point forward, we moved right in to the Intercontinental Championship Tournament. Now, this is the first tournament that comes to my mind since I think they were trying to determine the number one contenders to the WWE Tag Team titles a couple years ago. Aside from that, we don't usually get tournaments in WWE. When I heard a tournament was announced, I extremely got excited initially because I thought it was a King of the Ring tournament. Of course, not the case, but regardless, though, it is very nice to see the WWE Intercontinental title treated prestigiously for once. And we won't go match by match, but we'll talk about the tournament overall. So in the results of Raw last night, we had RVD defeat Del Rio to advance to the semifinals. We had Cesaro defeating Mark Henry, Sheamus defeating Jack Swagger, and Bad News Barrett defeating Dolph Ziggler. So all of those men have moved on to the semifinals. Will face off next week on Monday Night Raw for the Intercontinental Championship, and the winner will face Big E for the IC title at Extreme Rules next month. So, RJ, I'll start with you. What are your overall thoughts on the tournament itself? Is it helpful? Is it meaningless? And who do you think will win? And your thoughts on the matches from last night. So a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's helpful, obviously, because recently the IC title hasn't really gotten any spotlight or anything like that, and then it helps the mid card guys that really haven't got any airtime. Most of the matches were very good. I think the Bad News Bear and Dolph Ziggler match was really good, and then the RVD versus Del Rio match was good too. I think a heel is going to win the tournament, obviously, because Big E's a face. So I'm going to say Cesaro's going to win it.
Yeah, he's still a heel as of
He's still
right
a heel now, yeah.
With Paul Heyman, I guess. So I don't know what they're trying to do with that, but it doesn't matter to me. As long as he's with Cesaro, we were talking about this. As long as he's with Paul Heyman, we were talking about this before the show, but the pairing between those two was absolutely golden. I think it's beautiful, and they should have done that last year without even... I don't know, I enjoyed the Real Americans, but I think if you put Heyman from the start instead of Curtis Axel, I think it could have done wonders for Cesaro just a year ago. He could have been a world champion by now. But even so, though, I definitely agree. All the matches were very, very good. A great attempt by WWE to start to rebuild the mid-card because you have all these guys just floating around doing nothing at the moment, just absolutely nothing, and it's frustrating because you throw 30 bodies in a ring at WrestleMania, and hardly two-thirds of them mean anything. So it was ridiculous, and this is a nice way to build back up the Intercontinental Championship. I'm very happy to see the IC title treated prestigiously for once. Will it stay that way? I don't think so. But before I get to any further thoughts on the tournament, I'll throw it to you, Mike. Your thoughts on the matches last night, your thoughts on who might win, and your thoughts on the tournament overall.
I was hoping for a Dolph Ziggler wild card win. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. WWE isn't pushing him the right way. I believe he should be a top star. That's just my opinion on it. But other than that, I think Cesaro's unbelievable. Paul Heyman joining his side makes him that much better. His push was really, really good at WrestleMania 30, knocking off the Big Show, proving that he's probably the pound for pound one of the strongest guys in the business. Rob Van Dam beating Del Rio is always entertaining. RVD's always good. Sheamus is getting a little boring. His victory was all right. His match was probably the worst out of all three, you can say. And Bad News Barrett beating Dolph Ziggler was typical. I was hoping for a Ziggler win, but what are you going to do? The tournament overall is good. I think, obviously, Cesaro will win because I can see out of the other three guys, none of them really getting that big of a push. Rob Van Dam's getting a little old, so he's kind of like a mid-card crowd booster, if you know what I mean. Sheamus already had his boost. I can't see him being the WWE champion in the future because it's like the best guy in the business, so I would just keep that to Daniel Bryan. Bad News Barrett, I don't know why the fans love him lately, but I'm not a fan personally. I think he's terrible. So probably Cesaro overall, that tournament's going to win it, I think.
In terms of Dolph Ziggler, it's funny that you mentioned Ziggler, and I was thinking the same exact thing. It was only a few weeks ago this guy was on a winning streak. I mean, they were putting him on a winning streak going into WrestleMania 30, and then all of a sudden after WrestleMania, he's losing matches left and right. He lost to Bad News Barrett last night on Raw. He lost to
that was just absolutely stupid on WWE's part to make him go on a losing streak. Remember when he cashed in the Money in the Bank on Del Rio? I think it was probably in the top 5 crowd reactions of all time, the loudest. Insane. Everybody loved him. AJ Lee in his side, Big E, as his bodyguard, his second guy. That was awesome. Everybody loved it. Even when he was a heel, people still cheered him on. I don't see what WWE's doing wrong with not pushing Ziggler. I could see him like in a Shawn Michaels format. I said that for Will Crummer, obviously. He's in a Shawn Michaels format. He should be pushed, but WWE just isn't giving him what he needs. You know what I mean? I don't know. I can't tell WWE what to do, but if I was the writers, I would put Dolph Ziggler in the second round over Bad News Barrett at least. Come on, really? Come on. Other than that, yeah, it's good. Dolph Ziggler's on a losing streak right now, but I think he should be out of it soon. It should have been him against Big E for the IC title, but Bad News Barrett won, I guess.
The fact that he's being underutilized, personally, to me, doesn't surprise me. And this guy's been underutilized for years now. He's been pushed. His pushes have been start-stop over the last 3-4 years anyway, so it comes as real no surprise. They haven't done anything with him since he turned face, and they took the title off of him last June at Payback when he lost the title to Del Rio. So the same thing goes for Damian Sandow. He got knocked out by Big Show last night. This guy was contending for the world title 6 months ago against John Cena, which was an amazing matchup, and he hasn't done anything since. So it just kind of
match.
Exactly. He hasn't done anything since. It's just really a shame that WWE has underutilized all of these guys. They have just such immense talent that they're not doing anything with. But in terms of the IC title, I hope and well, here's the thing. With the IC Championship, some people have said that Big E is a lame champion. Now, I don't really put the blame on the wrestler themselves. Big E is great. I think he's flourishing as a fan favorite, much better as a fan favorite than a heel, I think. If they gave him the 5-count gimmick from NXT, I think it would be great. But
absolutely.
I don't think taking the title off of him... I'm fine with Cesaro taking the title. I'll say that right now. But a lot of people are saying, he's not doing anything with the championship. Take the title off of him. I don't think taking the title off of him will solve anything. You know what I mean? I don't think if you take the title off of him, the title's going to feel prestigious. It might feel prestigious for that one title change, like when Big E won it. People are thinking he's going to be the best champion since the Attitude Era, and he hasn't done anything since November, and it's not his fault. It's the creative's fault. So if Cesaro wins it and maybe defends it against Swagger and does stuff with it, then I'm fine with that. But if Cesaro's just going to hold it and not defend it, Dean Ambrose is a completely different story, if only because he's in a 3-man group. He's not a singles act, and he doesn't need that championship. So that's a completely different story. But with Big E, I think you can keep the title on him. Even if he loses the title, I'm fine with that. But either way, I don't think it's Big E's fault. But I do really like the tournament, the idea of the tournament to establish a new number one contender. It's different from your average fatal 4-way or triple threat match that we've seen in the last few weeks. My only complaint would be that they had Del Rio beat Big E a couple weeks ago for no reason at all, and then that went nowhere. And Del Rio lost last night in the first round, so it made 0 sense. And I have no idea. Del Rio's another guy too that like Sheamus, they pushed him way too hard, way too quickly, and now they have nothing for him.
Exactly.
He's boring now.
Yeah, he belongs in the mid-card. I think they should have never put the world title on him as quickly as they did. But anyway, and you mentioned...
Well, the world title didn't really mean that much compared to the WWE World Heavyweight.
No.
And then another thing I have to say, as soon as Dean Ambrose goes in the U.S. title match, he'll lose the belt. He's not going to go in a title defense. He hasn't defended it in, a month or two or something like that. And as soon as he defends it, he's going to drop it. And then whoever wins the IC tournament, which is probably going to be Cesaro, is going to beat Big E. That's just what it is.
I think you should just merge the titles at this point, honestly, because I don't think having 2 mid-card titles is fine, but if you're not going to do anything with either title, the IC, if they're going to make it feel meaningful again, I guess, but if you're not going to do anything with the U.S. championship, and then I think it's pointless. Because you were saying that we should have more championships. Why do you think that?
Because then it gives the mid-card more meaningful matches than just stupid feuds that no one cares about.
I like the 2 titles, not the 2 mid. I like the 2 mid-card titles.
Well, back in the day, if you look at old WrestleManias, old periods, the whole match was all title matches, make them more meaningful.
Yeah,
and
but that's when they were treating meaningful, though.
Yeah, but then I'd rather have them go for titles than make them meaningful than have stupid feuds that no one cares about.
I think if you kept the world title around, I don't think you would have had that stupid 30-man battle royal this year. I like the battle royal in the finish, but I'm just saying I don't think the world title was basically like the mid-card title. I think you could just say that right now.
Yeah.
The mid-card title was the world title, so without that, the mid-card titles, the actual mid-card titles are what people should be gunning for, but it doesn't matter if you have one title or 12. I think it's just the creative of it, and they don't care about any of these wrestlers. They're not giving them any sort of push aside from Cesaro, and they give the focus to some people like The Shield, like to Bray Wyatt and Cesaro, but they need more than that. They need an actual mid-card, so